So to give a little update, what happened to me this weekend, I basically went hypernatremic, uh, probably like, well, I would say pretty badly in the hyponatremia. And then uh, after I got medical attention, I actually went into rhabdomyolysis, however you say the word, basically when your muscles break down, um, which was brought on by the hypernatremia. First, I'll explain what happened, and then I'll get into like the medical shit of it. Um, so basically, I eat a lot of salty foods, being an ultra runner, whatever, keep my salt up and my fluid intake up because I just burn everything off. I could drop like 4 or 5 pounds of water weight, just doing a normal like 10-mile run or whatever. So I always keep my salt up. I eat a lot of salty foods, carbs, a lot of bad stuff, just to keep those levels up. Well, Friday night, I usually eat like a sugary food, so I go to the bathroom in the morning. Well, I ate because I went to the Millrats game, so I came home and I was actually hungry, so I ate some Amish mac salad and a bunch of little Smokies with some maple sugar on them instead of eating my sugary snack like I normally do. So I basically, yeah. So then Saturday morning, my salt levels are probably a little higher than normal for the race. And then during the race, I had my normal sausage sandwich in the morning, followed by body armor. But during the race, like I was sweating so much, losing just like pure water weight. So my salt was getting too concentrated in my bloodstream, which is why I got sick a little bit like around Central Park, a little bit before Central Park. I was getting a little nauseous. I wasn't like really puking. I tried to because I figured, maybe it was just something in my stomach I needed to get out, but there was nothing really there to get out. So that was like the first sign of hyponatremia. But, just because you're getting sick in the stomach or nauseous during race doesn't mean it's hyponatremia. Could just be something you ate or you're just pushing too hard, like redlining, which I actually was redlining at the time as well. But the nauseous was like first stage, early signs of hypernatremia, which I didn't really think much of it because I get, sick quite frequently during a race. It's just because I pushed too hard. But then it went away and it came back. I did drink maybe 6 to 8 ounces of water that they had at the one stop. But, that wasn't really enough because I was just like pouring sweat Saturday morning because it was humid out. I was pushing hard and then just doing the normal CrossFit stuff that I normally don't do, was just stressing my body, making it work a lot harder. I could even feel it in my muscles. Like even the one station we were doing like push-ups, I could just feel like the burn in my muscles. Like when you that last rep type deal, you get that full-on muscle burn, like where you can't just like push. I was getting that a lot of the exercises just because I don't do them. So then when I finished the race, I felt fine basically up to when I finished the race. And then that's when my body started to shut down. I laid down probably 15, 20 minutes near the finish line, just like breathing heavy, trying to cool my body down. I just figured, I just need to cool my core a little bit. I'd be good. And then I went and sat in my vehicle. As you saw in the videos, I got a little worse as I was doing them. Like, because I had the air on max, and it just basically felt overwhelmed. I wouldn't say I was overheated or anything, but I just knew I was like bad shape, whatnot. I don't know how to really explain it. I wouldn't say passed out, but I just knew my body was just basically crap in the bed at the time. Like I could see it in my face. I was pale, like a grayish type deal. And I knew I was getting worse. So I did my best. I got inside CrossFit, and then I just laid down in front of the fan. And I guess the big mistake was probably not getting any fluids in me. I just was so weak. I just couldn't get anything in me. And I was just like, my stomach was a little bit upset at the time, and I was like, man, I just need to settle my body down. But I actually needed to, looking back, is to get fluids in me to fix myself. So by not getting that, like, we'll say 15 minutes at the finish line, like 20 minutes at the car, and then going inside, I just put myself in like a worse situation. But at the time, I couldn't get anything down. I couldn't even open my Fit Aid can. But I laid in front of the fan, and I just started getting worse. I got tingling from my toes, all through my body and all through my hands and my jaw. It was getting kind of hard to talk, which that's more of like a more severe symptoms of hyponatremia, because your body starts, like, the nerves and stuff just start, I don't want to say for better words, like twitching or spasming, and like I was starting to shake. I thought it was just from overworking my muscles, but it's actually a more severe symptom of the hyponatremia. So they just laying in front of the fans. They called the ambulance. They put my legs up on some plates that helped get the blood back into my core, but I was still in that like hyponatremia state because I still wasn't drinking anything. They tried to give me something, and I couldn't even lift the cup to my jaw to even swallow. But the blood rushing back, I could feel it a little bit more, like my jaw loosened up. It wasn't as tingly, but I still had the tingling and the shakes in my legs and my fingers. So then the ambulance came. I got an IV real quick. I bounced pretty much back up as soon as I started getting an IV in me. I was wide awake, like talking. Even like as they were getting ready to take me in the ambulance over to the hospital to get checked out, like I was starting to come around a little bit just from having my feet elevated and whatnot. I knew where I was. I never lost consciousness or hit my head. Yeah. And like I said, in the ambulance, I was talking, cracking jokes and even smiling a little bit because I was coming around just because I got the fluids in me. But then at the hospital, I was getting more IVs. They did some EKGs on me, took an x-ray of my heart real quick. I even had I think an MRI or something real quick. They just spun that machine around my head just to check later on. But they took some blood and whatnot. And they gave me like a phosphorus pill and a calcium pill while I was there. And then whatever IV concoction that they gave me, I think it was just the normal one, because at the time, we were just treating myself for like dehydration. It wasn't even like, it was for more like dehydration, not hyponatremia. But then, because they took a couple different samples of blood work, like a couple hours later, they found out that, creatine kenosis or nesis or something like that. It's what they find in your blood when you have rhabdo. It's when, the rhabdo is like when your muscles break down. Basically like die off or whatever, then go in your bloodstream. So that creatine kenosis is what they detected in my blood. And I guess the level actually rose as I was in the hospital. So it was a real concern for them. But here, I guess if you get hyponatremic and you rehydrate your levels too quickly, it actually brings on the rhabdo. So me getting the IVs was actually making my like internal body, I guess worse. Like, even though like my pee went from like a darker yellow to like more clear and whatnot, but that's basically what happened, and that's why they were all worried and wanted me to stay overnight. But I felt good and actually just checked myself out because I knew my body well enough that I needed to actually like get some sleep and rest. Whereas if I stayed, that I wasn't actually going to get any sleep. So that's why I checked myself out, and I felt fine. Like, as soon as I got the IV, I was like, bam, I'm ready to go again. I could have ran another 10, 20 miles that day as soon as I got the IV and I bounced back. I probably needed just to get that Fit Aid in me right away. I just couldn't do it. But yeah, that's basically what happened. Is I went hyponatremic. I didn't fix the problem right away, so I went into a more severe state, and then I got the rhabdo because I got rehydrated too quickly. But I guess I didn't explain it enough to them what was going on, because I was getting more, like I said, treated for dehydration and then the rhabdo, not the hyponatremia. Again, it's one of those things that runners really don't know anything about, but we should be more aware of it, especially if you're doing like ultras or even a longer distance that you not accustomed to, just like the symptoms and whatnot. That way, when you can tell people what's going on, so they know how to fix you properly. At the time, I just thought I was more dehydrated as well instead of hyponatremic. I wasn't really, not that I wasn't thinking right, but I just thought I was dehydrated, not hyponatremic. But looking back, I should have recognized it. I know the symptoms. I know what happened. I just, didn't explain it right. So that's what happened, and I actually got worse because of not explaining what was going on properly. So that's why I told runners, you got to know the symptoms of dehydration and hypernatremia, and also hyper. I had hyper, ER, not PO. PO is more like the your blood is too diluted with you got like too much water and not enough salt basically in your body. Like it's the salt's too diluted in your system. That's what happens to a lot of people. They got, end up taking a lot of salt tabs and stuff because they drink too much water and not enough electrolytes to replenish the salt levels. Whereas me, I had too much salt in my blood and not enough water. So I was hypernatremic, ER, not OR, which is the diluted state. So you got to know the difference between the two, because there is a huge difference in how you treat it and the symptoms. And again, you got to know the difference between those. I always just call it hypernatremia. Being a redneck or country guy, like, PR and OR are interchangeable when I'm talking, but medically it's two different things. So you got to know dehydration as well, and then your heat stroke and heat exhaustion stuff as well, because we're in the summer months. You're going to be burning a lot more stuff off. So that's what happened Saturday. So I'm good now. I just been resting. I'm just a little bit sore from the CrossFit exercise and then getting stuck in both arms a couple times just to get blood work and the different IVs. So I'll be good to go soon.